Hi guys, this is Andrew with rockclass101.com. We are back with a brand new episode of Talking Tone for 2015, featuring guitarist Cameron Allen. In the last few years, Cameron has amassed quite an impressive resume. In 2012, he placed first in the Next Bend Note competition held in Paris, France. He followed that up in 2013 with a European tour with the Sixes in support of the Winery Dogs. And just last year, Cameron placed runner-up in the Guitar Idol 4 competition held in London, England. In 2012, Cameron's first album, Between the Lines, was released, and his second album is set for release early this year. Today we're shooting at the Atlanta Institute of Music and Media, where Cameron is also an instructor at. This is Talking Tone with Cameron Allen. So Cameron, thanks for sitting down with us. And the first question that I'd like to ask you is, I'm curious on how you got started with guitar. What inspired you to begin playing?
Well, I've always really been in love with music ever since I can remember. And I have two uncles that are musicians. One of my uncles is an excellent guitar player and great composer. And my other uncle is a drummer. And growing up, I was around them a lot, and I saw them playing all the time, and they used to let me play with their instruments, and immediately I was just drawn to the guitar. Like, that was the one that I really connected with, and I just always wanted to be a guitarist. And so then, with the help of my uncles, finally we convinced my parents to get me an electric guitar of my own. So then for my 6th birthday, I got my first electric guitar, and never put it down.
Awesome. So what kind of training did you have when you were at 6 and to 10 or so?
He would show me some of the basics, and then he provided a lot of guidance along the way, and he would show me all kinds of things and teach me scales and technique stuff, so it was really cool to have it. It was also really cool, being that he was my uncle and not a parent or anything. It's cool because there's just enough time apart where I don't see him all the time, so I get to practice stuff and then just kind of come to him every so often, and not have I guess some people who have a parent who's a musician, they're always kind of there influencing everything that you do on your instrument. And so I had more space and more freedom to sort of explore on my own. And then he would be there for guidance, so it was really a cool sort of relationship. I kind of felt like a musician even before I had an instrument. Like I always there's something about music that affects me very deeply and always has. It was something I always just really wanted to do.
That's cool. I think we kind of got a sense because I remember maybe for like a throwback Thursday or something, you put up a picture of yourself. I think you had long hair as a kid.
Oh yeah.
With in front of a tree or something.
Oh yeah,
your guitar.
Yeah.
So what was that? Can you give us like a backdrop on that story?
Yeah, man. Well, I was, writing music right away on the instrument. I kind of just thought that's what you did. Like, I didn't even know that there were players that didn't write. I thought they kind of went together. Like, you get an instrument and then you make your own music with it, and that's what you do. Because that's, well, like I said, my uncle did that, and he's making albums all the time, and it just seemed like the natural thing to do. That one that you're talking about was just a little collection of a few songs that I had written and recorded, and it was pretty fun,
Right.
Like, I never did anything with it. It was just, some kids at my school and stuff, I was like selling to them for like, $5 and a pack of Nerds or something,
Yeah.
So, but it was really fun, and it gave me some, valuable studio experience early on.
Now, when I listen to your playing, I hear a big range of influence.
Mm-hmm.
So, can you tell us a little bit about who you looked up to and who you aspired to play when you were growing up?
Some of my very early guitar heroes were guys like Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, Eric Johnson, Yngwie Malmsteen, Vinnie Moore. I had a lot of, I was exposed to a lot of instrumental guitar music through my uncle, and he also worked at a music store where they sold instruments, and then my other uncle, the drummer, worked at a CD store. So I would spend lots of time in both of those places. I've always been pretty open-minded with musical styles. I guess as I got older and was exposed to more music, I started getting into other things. Like, whenever I discovered that jazz existed, I got really excited. I love all kind of like bluegrass and country stuff and blues. I always had a fairly varied listening diet, I think. I didn't really, get overly into any like one particular player. There was like a good handful of them that I listened to a lot, but I've always gone through phases, where like I'm really into one type of thing, and then I move on, I'm into something else and into something else.
So for the guitar player that looks up to you, what advice would you give them?
Well, I'd say work really hard, try to learn something new every day. And I think the best piece of advice that I got when I was very small was to use your ear to figure out as much stuff as you can. I'm really glad that I took that advice, and having a good ear is critical to being a good musician. And so I would tell a young player to try to use their ear as much as possible. Try to copy everything that you hear, anything that you like. Try to go figure it out on your instrument. And I really believe that you get out what you put in. So if this is something that you really love to do, it's well worth the effort, to try to improve, and that just makes you all the more like free on your instrument, and it's a great feeling. The higher you go, the more free that you are, the more facility that you have on the instrument, the more rewarding it is. So it's really worth the time.
Awesome. So I can't just memorize tabs that you give me? So Cameron, you are endorsed with VGA guitars.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a little bit about the model that you use and why you chose to use that guitar maker?
Sure. This model is called the Excalibur Ultra Blues, and let's see, it's got an alder body with a beautiful flame maple top. It's got a rosewood fretboard with a maple neck, but it's the VGA's signature 1090 necks, which means that it has 10% carbon fiber and 90% wood, and it's got this carbon fiber strip that goes through the middle, and it eliminates the need for a truss rod and keeps the neck perfectly stable. And when you're touring, you go all over the place to different temperatures, different cities, different types of humidity and stuff, and it doesn't move. It's great. It's got oversized locking tuners that both keep it in tune well and also helps add a little extra weight to this side of the guitar, so it doesn't feel like it's pulling quite so hard. This side, it feels very even whenever you stand with a strap. It feels very even on your body. So it's also got this 0 fret here.
What is a 0 fret?
Okay, 0 fret is, you see how there's a fret right here, just in front of the nut? this keeps the action very consistent across the whole fretboard. It raises it up to just the right amount. The way that the guitar plays, say right here, is very similar to the way that it plays right here. There's not that much difference in the action. I mean, it's very even across the whole fretboard. It makes it extremely playable. And I mean, these guitars are just designed to be as playable as possible, which is why one of the reasons I just love Vigier. I mean, I've never played a more playable guitar. This absolutely is the best guitar I've ever owned, you know. And I first found out about Vigier when a French guitarist named Christophe Godin came through America on tour with his band Morgable. And I saw him, well, I didn't recognize the brand. I was wondering what type of guitar he was playing just when I first saw it. But I noticed that he was picking his guitar up by the whammy bar and just throwing it all around and kind of abusing his guitar, and it was not going out of tune. And the tone of it was also impressive too. And so I asked him after the show what kind of guitar it was, and he started telling me all about Vigier and how great they were. And he was right about all of it. And that was a while back. That was probably 7 or 8 years ago. And I knew from that moment that the Vigier was, you know, like my dream guitar, you know. And then I, you know, fast forward several years, I was visited by the American Vigier rep, DJ Scully, and he came to my place and brought a bunch of Vigier guitars with him and let me try them out and play them. And I mean, they were just the most playable guitars I've ever played, you know. And so yeah, I got on with them, and I could not be happier. I mean, they're absolutely superb instruments.
What kind of strings do you use on the guitar?
Mostly D'Addarios, and the gauge. Well, the way I have it set up right now, I've got a hybrid set of strings. It's got like the 10 on the strings from a set of 10s on bottom, and then strings from a set of 9s on top. So it's 9 to 46.
Mm-hmm. So you've got the fat low end sound.
Yeah.
And what is it that you like about that?
Well, normally I used to play 10s, and I normally didn't like 9s so much, but for some reason they work really well on this guitar. The way that it's set up, it just feels right. And you know, I like that having that fatter low end, you know, for just the tone. You know, it's got a fatter tone for, you know, the chunkier chords and riffing and stuff on the lower strings. It sounds great.
Oh, is there any kind of styles of music you feel that this guitar can't really pull off?
God, man, that's a hard question to answer. 'Cause I think this is an extremely versatile guitar, and I mean, I needed a really versatile guitar because, you know, I do a lot of different stuff. I don't think I'm like a specialist in one, you know, close out style. So, you know, I like to play lots of different styles. I need something that can accommodate that need to play a lot of different stuff. So I think this does a good job of it. You know, I mean, you're never going to get like the sound of a hollow body jazz box, you know, on a solid body guitar. I mean, there are some things that, you know, it just, you couldn't reasonably expect to get out of the instrument. But for most things, you know, it works great. So for some reason, I think that Vigier got sort of, people started associating them with a lot of like heavier types of music. A lot of the players that were Vigier artists were, you know, tend to be associated with like metal or like heavier stuff. But it works, I mean, you can get beautiful clean tones. It works great for some country stuff. I mean, you can get a lot of spank, a lot of twang. I found it to be, you know, a very versatile instrument.
So I think people really are interested in the fact that you don't use a typical amplifier. And what you use is the Axe FX2, which is made by Fractal Audio. Mm-hmm. And you're actually endorsed with them as well, correct? Mm-hmm. Can you tell us why you chose to use that?
Yeah. A lot of reasons. Okay, at the time whenever I first found out about Fractal Audio and the Axe effects, I had this streak of about, I think, maybe 3 months in which I blew up 3 different tube amplifiers, and I just kept having these nightmare gigs where stuff was always going wrong with my amps, and I was having to take them into repair shops, and, you know, I mean, that comes with the territory, of course, but I was just maxed out with having to deal with amps. And so it was like, you know, it was perfect timing for whenever I found out about the Axe Effects. And I went to NAMM a couple of years ago, and I had heard lots about the Axe Effects. I had heard them, I'd seen demos online and stuff, but I had never actually played one. And of course I had my doubts. And then I got to actually play through one, and it blew me away. I really couldn't believe how natural it felt. I knew that they sounded great, but it felt great too. And I was just sold. I mean, and there are so many other reasons though. I mean, obviously it's of this, great quality, but it's also portable, and that's important for me whenever I, fly overseas, whenever I'm, or have to travel anywhere, to tour. I can fit the Axe Effects, and I can fit the MFC 101 foot controller in a carry-on case. So it's like I can take my own stuff. The portability, the convenience factor of, it's like having a warehouse full of amps and different effects pedals and stuff in cabinets. Right. And different mics to mic the cabinets, and it's like having this warehouse of all this gear in one little box.
What if you want to model it after an amp that you have at home that's not in the system?
Yeah, if you find some amp and you just love the way that this specific amp sounds, there's this tone match feature that the Axe Effects has, where it basically listens to the amp that you want to copy, and it'll duplicate the sound. You have to get it like in the ballpark. You have to dial in an amp that has similar circuitry to it. So you have to kind of get in the ballpark, and then it listens and analyzes the features of the sound, and then it'll duplicate it. And there are all kinds of videos on YouTube and stuff where people are demonstrating that, and it's amazing. I mean, like, you cannot tell the difference. It's awesome.
Like real scary close.
It's scary close, yes. Mm-hmm. And so then, then seeing that, it's like, well, so you mean to tell me I have all these different amps, and if there is an amp that is not in there, I can make that amp be in there. It's like, well, yeah, why would I need anything else?
So you use it for performing live and the studio.
Yeah.
So it's featured all on the new album that's coming out?
Oh yeah. Yeah, this new album is done entirely with the Axe Effects. The last album was pre-Axe Effects, and it's made a big difference. And about, playing live, see, I like having that consistency, like to be able to have my tone one place and then have to, go somewhere else and then get used to a different amp. Like if you have to do, use rental gear somewhere or something, that can be a bit disorienting a little bit, To have your sound change definitely changes the way you play. At least it does for me. I like, the fact that whenever I have this, I know exactly what it's going to sound like, exactly what I'm going to get. That's just one less thing to have to worry about. It's great in the studio. It functions as an audio interface, and I use it all the time. It's great for reamping stuff. It sends a dry signal out in addition to a process signal. So, like I do work for other people who want me to play on their record, and I can people all over the place where I can just send it over the internet. And a lot of engineers want tracks dry. On my album, actually, on this newest album, the engineer wants all the tracks dry, but I like to track with effects. It helps me to play better if I've got the sound the way that I want it to ultimately be. So I can record it that way, and it's still recording the dry signal, so then I can then go reamp it, and I can reamp it dry. Or if we need to change the tone, like say I send it to somebody, I'm playing on their album, and they listen to the tracks and they say, oh, that's great, the performance is perfect, but I wish we could change this tone and make it slightly darker, or I wish we could do this or that, a little more gain or a little less gain or whatever. I can do all that. I can, that performance is saved, the raw file is saved, and then I can easily go reamp it and make any adjustments they need. So yeah, people tend to like, having that option.
Tell us a little bit about how you set it up. Let's say you are going to go do a solo gig performing your material.
Yeah.
What is the go-to amp sound that you use, and what kind of effects would you generally dial in?
Well, it varies. The main ones that I use, there are quite a few, but for clean stuff, I've got it's modeled after a Fender Deluxe Reverb. So here, let me show you how my Deluxe Reverb model sounds. It's great for chords and stuff. stuff, I use a lot of a Plexi. It's modeled after a Marshall Plexi with like a tube screamer in front of it. Sometimes for lead stuff, I'll use that same deluxe reverb, but then I put a drive pedal in front of that as well, and I've gotten some really good results.
Can you show us how that is different?
Yeah, the Plexi sound, yeah, I've got all that on, yes. And it's great. Sound guys like it a lot. I get a lot of funny looks because whenever I use it live, I I have this going through a powered mixer. Well, because it's just a preamp. So I have it go into a powered mixer and then into a PA speaker, like a FR, speaker. So it's like this Yamaha PA speaker, and then the Axe-Fx is sitting on top of it. And I get weird looks. People are like, "Why do you have a PA speaker up here? That's your amp?" A lot of skeptics, And but then it sounds great. They hear it and they're like, "Whoa!" But sound guys love it, because it goes direct to front of house. I just use that speaker just for my stage volume. But really, what you're hearing at a show is coming through the mains. It's just going straight to the board.
When you dial it in for the amp, do you then set what effects you're going to use?
Yeah. And a lot of times, all of these amp models, first of all, are, I'll find one of the amps I like, and you can spend a long time going through all the different cabinets that you can pair it with. A lot of times I don't even look at the names of them. I just kind of go through, play something, nope, next, nope, next, nope. Okay, that's the one, and then just save it and don't really pay attention. So excuse me if I don't have the exact names of some of these. But yeah, I do the same thing with the effects too. I go through and there's I'll have an idea of what I'm going for, and then I'll go through, say if I'm looking for a delay or whatever, I'll go through and find the one that I like and then tweak it, to make it how I want it.
So Cameron, with all that you've accomplished so far in your career, where do you see it headed toward in the next 5 years?
I hope to be doing basically the same types of things I'm doing right now, but on a larger scale. I hope to be touring with my original project. I hope to still be making albums and doing clinics. I really enjoy teaching. I love playing on other people's projects, so hopefully I'll get some more of that, or hopefully that'll continue. If I knew where it was going to go, it wouldn't be as fun, because the surprise is what makes it so fun, but hopefully still just be, able to play the guitar every day and make music every day and try to make the world a better place through the joy of music.
So nice, so kind of you. So I know that Nuno Betancourt's the guitar player for Rihanna. Can we see Cameron Allen as the guitar player for Miley Cyrus?
I mean, if Miley Cyrus is watching and you want a guitarist, you just call me up. My website should be linked somewhere in the description. Hit me up. No, I would totally do something like that though. If the opportunity presented itself, I'd do that.
So I hear you have a new instructional DVD coming out. Can you tell us a little bit about what that's going to be about?
Sure. I've got a couple in the works. There is one that I'm going to do that's going to be focused on the 8-finger tapping technique, which is a technique I use a fair bit. Whenever I first saw people doing this, I really liked the sounds that became available to you whenever you do the technique. When I would watch guys who could do it, it was like a sound that I was going after and just never quite knew how to do it just with the traditional sort of, way of playing. And so I immediately knew I want to do that. I need to figure out how to do that. I tried to find instructional material on it and I just couldn't find anything. So I had to figure, most of that stuff out just on my own. So now I'm just trying to, make something that's a good system, something that's informative and that will hopefully help people who are in the same position I was, where they're interested in getting into that, but they want something that is really going to be a nice, comprehensive method for learning how to do that. Then I plan on making one that's dedicated to phrasing and the way that I think about phrasing, and then there's one that I plan on doing about playing outside over different changes and stuff. and some different concepts that I have on that. And then there are a bunch more ideas that I have for stuff down the line, but those are sort of the three on my mind at the moment that I plan on doing in the fairly near future.
So these are going to be released through Lick Library, and is that going to be like a download package, or is it a DVD that you buy, and does it include like the sheet music with tablature?
Yeah, because I haven't officially, released my first one yet, I'm not absolutely certain about this, but I'm pretty sure that it will be available either as a digital download or as a physical DVD. And yeah, these things do come with other materials, like the sheet music and tabs and all that stuff, so yeah.
When we want to purchase this, how do we go about doing that?
You can get all this stuff through Lick Library, through their website. It'll be on their online store.
So you have a new album coming out this year. How is it going to be different from your first album, Between the Lines?
It's very different from Between the Lines. This new one is called Ex Nihilo. I think it's a step up in so many ways. I mean, I think that compositionally it's way better than Between the Lines. Just from a playing standpoint, I feel that I've grown leaps and bounds since I did Between the Lines. So I think the playing on it's going to be much better all around, and the musicians on it are awesome too. Sonically, it's going to be superb. The mixing engineer and my co-producer, Steve Moss, he just does brilliant work, and it's going to come out sounding terrific. As far as the overall sound, it's definitely a lot heavier than the last one, and I think that it's a little more compositionally elaborate, a little more adventurous compositionally, take some more liberties with the structures and stuff, and I think that the playing is way better.
Cameron, I want to thank you for sitting down with Rock Class 101. I feel that we gave your fans a good glimpse into the gear that you use, but more so a little bit about yourself. Before we wrap up, can you tell us how your fans can stay up to date with new lessons that are coming out or new music?
Yeah, my website, I try to keep it pretty updated. Yeah, I'll have tour dates on there. I have a link to check out Skype lessons if you're interested in doing Skype lessons. I've got links to purchase my CDs, and yeah, any kind of news and stuff is usually found on there, or on my Facebook fan page, which is facebook.com/Cameron Allen Music, and my YouTube channel, I post stuff on there regularly. So that's youtube.com/Cameron Allen GTR.
Awesome. Thanks, Cameron.
Yeah, man.
This is Andrew with rockclass101.com. Thank you.